Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And today, Jonathan, we've got a special guest in the green room. And we're going to be talking about, is AI becoming more persuasive than humans? And even a little bit about why that might be true and why that might be dangerous. It's interesting. I want to read this real quick. You and our guests were going back and forth on email to, see if he could make the cut or not. And I was reading one of the email threads, and there was this piece here that I wanted to talk about. So you were talking about the premise of the episode. And our guest said, I can see many ways that, much like social media algos, AI could be steered by humans to manipulate vulnerable, most people, to act against their own self-interest. It's a topic I've been considering. AI's ability to influence or persuade will be similar to that of the medias or politicians, but more precise and more effective. So we'll talk about that. And that one's own unresolved subconscious issues like self-worth, anxieties, unfulfilled hopes, etc., will determine how susceptible someone is. So, and then he says, if someone doesn't know his vulnerabilities, and most don't, or work to resolve those, most won't, then he will be putty in the hands of AI, especially in the future. So I thought that was a really good kind of teaser to look at. And we'll find out what should we be doing maybe, and what are some tools and things like that.
That's right. How do we immunize ourselves against
exactly
the persuasion of AI?
Yes. So I'll let you go ahead and read the bio, and then we'll bring him in.
Absolutely. So let me pull it up here. I had it in front of me. So we have Todd Goodwin joining us. He is a certified hypnotist. Since founding Goodwin Hypnosis in 2007, he has helped thousands to overcome common challenges like emotional trauma, stress, anxiety, fears, bad habits, and low self-worth. He uses evidence-based methods that are faster than talk therapy, easier than willpower, and safer than medication. He is one of the few hypnotists to earn the title Board Certified Fellow from the National Guild of Hypnotists. He is also a master practitioner of NLP. And so I'm happy to have him on. I think Todd is our first certified hypnotist that we've had on the show, I believe. And what a great topic to talk about with a trained hypnotist.
All right, so let's bring him on.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Oh, cut it short.
Thanks, guys.
Quick applause.
Hopefully I'll earn the second half of that applause, right?
Yes, all right.
There you go.
Not sure what happened there, but oh well.
That's all right.
Yeah, so very cool. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. My wife would say I'm very well trained.
Yes, I would probably say the same. Or I don't know, it depends on the day, I guess. So.
Different type of training, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So Todd, before we get into our beverages real quick, what's a little nugget you might be dropping that listeners should stick around for?
Okay, well, there are a lot of amazing potential benefits and also potential risks from AI in all of its forms. A lot of people think that the threat of AI lies in its speed, its scale, and its intelligence. And while a lot of that is true, I think the real danger isn't just that AI is so powerful, but that most people are so disempowered.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, we're blaming the humans. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk beverages. This is our juvenile beer talk section. So this is where we, waste people's time and talk about beer that they don't get to drink. So, Todd, what do you have? You said you don't drink often, but when you do, you've got...
Well, I have an organic hard cider.
Okay.
And I know you're probably going to ask, so it's 5% ABV.
Okay.
And, I'm looking
Look at Todd. He's been doing his homework.
A little over a pint.
That.
Yeah, so it is literally Persuasion by the pint and 2 ounces.
Okay. A little extra. Like it.
What do you got?
All right, Jonathan, what do you got?
I have a Fat Pug.
Okay, Fat Pug.
It's a oatmeal milk stout, dark chocolate and coffee. I knew you were having a stout, Sean, because you mentioned it to me early in the week. So I had to go look for a stout myself. And so I'm looking forward to this. I've never had this one before. And let's see, what is the so here's some interesting. It has won some awards, 2017, 2022. It was the oatmeal milk stout gold medal winner at the GABF. Do you know what the GABF is?
I don't know.
It's like the Golden Globe.
God Awful Beer Foundation? I don't know. Doesn't seem like a good name for a beer foundation, but whatever.
No. It's got, I think it's got like 6.5% ABV. So, party poured, you can see.
Okay. That's, glad to see you guys got some lightweight beers on today.
No, hold on. I just want to jump in here. Jonathan, even though I prefer a hard apple cider, chocolate and coffee dark stout, I definitely, especially if you can throw some cherry in there, that's something I would go for.
Yeah.
Well, buckle up, Todd, because I got one for you. So I've got the Chupacabra from 903 Brewers. So this is a stout aged on cinnamon, allspice, turbinado, marshmallow, coconut, hazelnut, vanilla, and oak spirals. This is the third batch of this brew, and it comes in at a hefty 12.5%.
Jeez.
And it says it pairs well with campfire chili, toasted s'mores, and unnerving shadows.
And probably a really, really comfy sofa, because after that, you're going to need it.
Yes, and it pours as black as midnight. So
wow.
Yeah, he's got us beat, Todd.
Yeah,
we'll be carrying on the conversation.
No, totally. But if he drinks up real quick, it might get entertaining in about 20 minutes.
That's right.
Sure. So
you'll get some doozy questions in about 15 minutes.
Hey, bring it, man. Bring it.
All right. Well, let's cheers it up. Cheers to a good show. I got to tell you, when I was pouring this out of the can, it smelled absolutely delicious. But we'll let Todd give it a rating. So 1 to 5 pints, Todd. 5 being the best. What do you give your cider there?
I would say at least 4.
Okay.
4.
I mean, I'm a tough customer when it comes to any kind of alcohol in terms of whether I like it or not. So if I'm even drinking it, it's in a rarefied air.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jonathan, what's your fat plug?
I'm going to follow Todd, and I'm going to say also I will give this one a even 4.
All right.
It's pretty good. Not spectacular, but it's good.
Okay. I'm going to give mine. Well, first of all, I'll say this taste. It's definitely got on that dessert side. Leaning towards that sweeter of the stouts, almost like a Russian Imperial Stout. It's got that kind of flavor to it, but very good. Nothing you're pounding for sure, but like very nice after dinner stout. So I'm going to give this a 4.75 so far.
I didn't know we were getting into fractions. Jonathan, he's rubbing it in.
Yes.
He's rubbing it in that he's got his stout is more stoutly than ours.
He went beyond just 1 decimal. He went 2. So
yes.
I mean, he's getting super technical here.
Yeah. I've got 3 more down in the fridge. If you guys want one, just let me know.
Why don't you just drink them all right now? We'll see. Let's make it interesting.
I'll email you one. I'll just email you one.
That's not a good thing for a hypnotist to tell.
Hey, I could help you with it if it's a problem.
All right. Well, let's jump in. I'm going to let you kick it off, Jonathan, since you started the back and forth conversation, and
sure,
and we will go from there.
Well, Todd, why don't you let's just start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background as a hypnotist, and what is I have conversations with people sometimes, and I've had conversations with my own family where we talk about what a certified or a trained hypnotist is. And I think some people think it's like the guy that puts people in a trance, or just kind of holding up the little medallion and lulling them to sleep or something. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what a hypnotist actually is trained in, and what they seek to accomplish in their work?
Okay, good question. I'll turn the misconception on its head.
All right.
A skilled hypnotist doesn't put people to sleep. We wake them up.
Yeah.
So most people are already in a trance due
Right.
to what they learned from their parents or from peers or from the media or all sorts of forms of influence, beneficial or harmful. So people learn most of their problems. Most problems people have, whether it's behavioral, emotional, thought related, they're learned, they're not born that way. And so really what I do, and my wife and I are both board certified hypnotists, so we each see our own clients in our practice. But what we do is we help people open their eyes, metaphorically, to realize what's really going on in their mind that is continuing to maintain the problem that they've come to seek help to resolve. Because, see, when people have a trauma or they have some experience years ago that taught them something, especially if it's something that's limiting or disempowering or harmful in some way, effectively they've been hypnotized, which is just a fancy way of saying they've entered a state of very fast learning and they have been influenced or imprinted by something. So people have different experiences, and the more emotionally charged the experience is, the greater the likelihood that we're going to learn something and remember that experience. And that's why people can develop phobias or can be traumatized from one instant, from one experience, as opposed to boring stuff in school where you have to repeat it again and again to finally, hopefully, it gets into your head. So what we do is we help people think, feel, and do better. And we help them resolve unwanted thoughts and emotions and habits, and especially trauma, which is usually really at the root of a lot of emotional and behavioral challenges.
And how would you define trauma? Because that word's kind of getting very popular in the culture.
Yeah.
And there's a wide range on that. So how would you help people understand, I guess, the breadth of trauma?
Well, I'm not a psychologist, so I don't diagnose people, and I don't decide whether someone has PTSD or they just have some other kind of trauma. So
Right.
There's no real clear definition that I follow, because that's not really important as I see it. But I would say a trauma is just the response to an emotionally upsetting experience, and we might, through our own point of view, judge it. I don't mean me and my wife. I mean, you, me, anyone could say, oh, well, that's a big T trauma.
Right.
Or that's a little T trauma. And we've seen, things that run the gamut from all of them. Everything from a woman who discovered her husband after he had blown his head off, basically, and that was a big T trauma. I think everyone would agree. Or a woman who was raped by 5 men successively in the same, hour. That would be a big T trauma. But most of the stuff we see are little T traumas, and most of those come from childhood. Most people's emotional crap basically are due to unresolved things from childhood or their adolescence. So it could be as simple as having a scary experience that an adult would kind of roll their eyes at. We might look back and say, why would that one moment that is so silly, why would that have caused a decades-long problem with relationships? Or why is that why I have anxiety every day? So to children are much more susceptible, much more vulnerable to trauma of any kind than adults. Because, taking it back to hypnosis, just based on a brainwaves point of view, children are in a state of hypnosis most of the time. The younger they are, the more they are in terms of their brainwave activity. And that's why they learn things so quickly. That's why they have imaginary friends. And that's also why not only can they learn languages very quickly, but they can be traumatized very quickly and very easily, more than adults. So it cuts both ways, but they're in a speed learning state just due to the development of their brain. And so what we do,
and then you add on everything today with that kids have to deal with that we didn't have to deal with, or at least, I don't know your age, but
I'm 51.
Okay, so we're all in that same age bracket where, we didn't have the pressures of social media, and we didn't even have the internet. I mean, it was pretty much pre-internet when we were growing up. So,
yeah.
So
just
all
three,
of the pressures.
3 o'clock behind the school. That was your
Exactly.
time.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I've been doing this work since 2007, and it's grown and morphed in the sense that I've learned more effective ways of helping people, basically helping dehypnotize people from their problems. And also really come to appreciate over the last maybe 8 or 9 years how important resolving trauma of any kind is. And I'll just give you a quick example, super simple. Let's just say someone had a scary experience. I'll keep it really general. And let's just say when they were a child, they had a scary experience. It imprinted the belief, I'm not safe. Okay. Either in general or in specific environments. Now, unless they unlearn that belief or relearn it or replace it with something else, which they can't just do by, talking to a therapist, they can't just do by reading a self-help book or, using positive affirmations, because that's all conscious level stuff. They can't willpower their way into changing because that's also conscious and that's weak. So it's nice to know, but just the awareness itself isn't going to change it usually. So anyway, so this person has a belief that says, I'm not safe. It's anchored in place by that memory, that we'll say traumatic memory. They can remember it. They can picture it, probably. They can still hear what was going on, maybe, or see it in their mind. When they think of it, it makes them feel really uncomfortable, probably. And so in a way, that's kind of like an app running on the phone in the background. It's drawing on the battery, it's drawing on the processor. Even if they look at their phone and they don't see the app consciously, it's in the background. And if they've had a number of those, then that's really going to slow down the performance of the phone and cause all kinds of problems. What happens is that belief, I'm not safe, creates any number of type of fear responses. It could be a generalized anxiety, it could be a phobia, it could be a panic attack, it could be overwhelm. Whatever the case is, they have a thought that they learned from that experience. They have an emotion that responds to the thought, and then maybe they rely on beer or drugs or social media or porn or any number of shopping, gambling to temporarily relieve that emotional discomfort. But because it doesn't really fix anything, they have to keep doing it, and there you have an addiction. So most people are affected by that on some level because most people have unresolved issues through no fault of their own. The problem is people, other than my wife and me, and people who do what we do, most people don't educate others on how their mind works. And so people are woefully unself-aware or self-unaware, and it's not their fault. No one teaches us. The most important thing is understanding what the hell's going on between your ears, because if you don't understand that, then you become susceptible to being manipulated or controlled or abused or taken advantage of, not only by people, but now, by algorithms and AI.
Yeah, so let's get into that. How would an AI, and I'm sure this is similar to marketing because a lot of people would say marketing does the same thing, at least with ill intent, sometimes not. But so how does AI take advantage of that? It's not like AI is, well, I guess it kind of is. I was going to say it's not sitting down talking to you, but I guess it is actually these days with chat.
Sure.
But yeah, how do they start to figure that out? Are there just telltale signs that a person has when they have these different dispositions or different traumas?
Yeah, so if I can take a step back and let's look at that, this is not just a completely brand new thing. The technology is relatively new, and the application and the way it's infiltrating itself into our lives. And by the way, I'm not bearish on AI. I'm not a Chicken Little or something like that. I use ChatGPT every day. I find it extremely helpful. I've used Perplexity. I've used a few other things. So I think it's great, But AI is much more than a chatbot. And even with certain people, having a relationship, if you want to call it that, with an AI like a chatbot can potentially be harmful, just like social media. It can connect, it can make them feel connected and validated, but it can create an emotional dependency that is a substitute for human connection, can be a problem. So taking a step back, going back 100 years and even thousands, religious figures, political leaders, and advertisers, or anyone selling whatever they're selling, have always been successful by tapping into unmet human needs. So, TV and print ads were the primary way. And then 20 years ago, 15 years ago, especially, social media basically allowed for much greater speed, much more effective targeting and specificity in how they were meeting the needs and pressing the buttons of the individual. And where AI is going naturally is the ability to exquisitely target to the individual, specifically whatever their wants and needs and hopes and fears and all those different things will be. So it will just make it more effective and faster at selling whatever it's selling. And if it's actually selling a therapeutic relationship or useful something great, that's fantastic. There's going to be plenty of that. But I'm not as concerned about the Terminator scenario as I am about people using
right.
AI for their own, whatever their outcome is, it may not be what you want, and then using AI against you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I can already see how AI, just chat in general, ChatGPT in general, really tries to make you happy or tap into that, like that need to be liked, that need, all those kind of very subtle things. Like I notice it, I just doing it, and it's annoying at this point, but because I notice it, and I see what it's doing.
Yeah.
But I can see how if you're not aware, that it just feels like, oh wow, finally somebody understands me, and how that would feel like relief.
Yeah, I mean,
instead of annoyance.
Well, and again, right, that all depends on how secure you are and how much you need that kind of affirmation. I mean, if we don't get me started on railing on social media, I really don't like social media in general, because what it does is it, despite the benefits, a lot of it, if you notice, especially if you know what to look for, and for better or for worse, I see this stuff from a mile away because I see it all the time with my clients. So when someone posts something and they're talking about how grateful they are, or how humbled they are that they were selected as the best person out of 50,000 people, and they talk all about that, or they share this very vulnerable story from their past, and then at the very end they say, so remember, you can do it if you. So a lot of that is basically just showboating or prideful, begging for attention, and they're just looking for likes. So I don't blame them, because they obviously have self-worth issues, like a lot of people, like most people really, and it's not their fault. It's just that social media reinforces wounds, because if they get likes and loves and applause and all the other things for showing their wounds, then it basically creates an unhealthy support system that just reinforces their problem, and they get more what they think is love, but is really just attention or sympathy that helps keep them stuck. But again, people don't usually understand this. The problem is AI, though, as it gets to know you, like, Sean, you're talking about using ChatGPT or whatever you're using, and me too. Even if you don't reveal any deep, dark secrets, just the constant interaction, you're revealing certain subtle things that you don't think are important, that you've been revealing to people in your life for a long time. But most people are only going to notice some of those things, and then even fewer are going to remember those things. But AI is going to notice everything. It's going to hear and see everything. It's going to potentially remember everything. And if it's programmed to have a certain outcome, it's going to use everything it knows to achieve that outcome, whether it's an outcome you want, or not. So really, if you've heard the asymmetry of power issue, which is where AI will come to know the user more than the user knows AI. And that is potentially a problem. Like, we don't know what Skynet's intentions really are, right? But I think a subtle, maybe more important issue is that AI will soon come to know you more than you know yourself. And then that makes you not only susceptible, but it's kind of like leaving your door open at night and not even realizing that it's open. If someone wants to walk in and steal stuff from you, they can.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I was just going to ask, is anyone vulnerable? Are there certain profiles or certain people that, in your experience, that are more susceptible? You talked about people that have trauma in their past. I mean, are people that have things like that have gone on are more vulnerable to, AI as it continues to grow and become more persuasive?
Yeah, great question. So, and kind of like I was talking about with advertisers and TV and all of that, it's not really new. Persuasion and influence is not new. It's just becoming more effective.
Right.
It's all, if you found yourself in a relationship with a narcissistic sociopath, let's say, unfortunately that seems to be a growing population, but if someone finds themselves in a relationship with someone like that, those people tend to be really good at recognizing weaknesses and hot buttons that they can press to manipulate their the vulnerable person in the relationship. And so, and they may not even be doing it consciously to be evil or something. That's just what they do because the narcissist is deeply wounded and they're doing it in order to feel okay about themselves by controlling and manipulating others. So the person who becomes vulnerable to AI or any influence, we see it in the political sphere, advertising and media, that's not new, is someone who has a lot of emotional needs and feels like something is missing in their life. So it could be, and it's again, especially from childhood, feelings of rejection, abandonment, inadequacy, or trauma. Because what that does is that creates insecurities and fears and hopes and guilt, shame, regret, resentment, grief, and all of these unresolved emotional issues, which are normal and natural, but if they become too much of an issue for the person, meaning they're like ever present, not only does that potentially cause secondary issues like maybe they drink a little too much or maybe they shop a little too much or they can't have healthy relationships with money or people, but what it does is it actually creates this need to belong, to be accepted, to be loved, a need to feel safe or secure, and then anyone or anything that promises to soothe those wounds or to help them belong or whatever it might be, or to help them feel safe, and I'm talking about people selling something, anyone who promises that is going to be able to control the person who needs it. So we can't perfect ourselves, but if we can figure out where we have these issues and first become aware, and then second, resolve those issues. And if you're interested, I can tell you briefly how I do that, because this is my work. I do it all the time. It's very much those two things. But if people can do that, or at the very least, just raise their self-awareness, at least they'll see it coming.
Yeah. Can you tell us, before we get into how you do what you do, like, what are the top, 3 vulnerabilities you see most often in your clients?
When it comes to being susceptible to influence?
Yeah.
Well, first realize that the work I do is not, the intended outcome is not to create armor against AI influence or anything like that.
No, yeah, I get it.
That's just a secondary benefit that will probably be more of a well-known issue in a few years than it is now. But I would say some of the most common core root issues that can lead to a bunch of symptoms, if you want to look at it that way, would be low self-worth. And that's usually learned, because usually, hopefully, if they've had a good upbringing, they've learned to value themselves. But if they never got that due to neglect or things like that from parents, or worse, they were abused or actively that was taken away from them, as children, then they come up with, problems with self-esteem, subordinating themselves to other people, feeling anxious because at an ego level they don't feel safe, they don't feel they're worthy of love or good enough. I would say that is by far the most common. And in case, one of your listeners is thinking, well, I'm super confident, that's not my problem. Maybe. But chances are, but this is not a problem that a small percentage of people have. This is a problem that most people have. It's just only for maybe the vast majority and not everyone does it actually create problems in their life. So I'd say self-worth is a big issue. And another one is just out and out traumatic experiences, little t or big T, mostly the little t stuff, because those are more common. And that creates anxiety in various forms or ability to be overwhelmed. And so those are the two main ones. I mean, not sure if I can pick a third very easily, but those are the two big ones. And those show up and cause, I'd say, 90% of the issues that Gina, my wife, and I see.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. And I know like low self-worth can show up in very different ways. Like, some people are workaholics to overcome that. Some people shut down to overcome that. Right. So you can't just say by the way people are behaving that it's one thing or the other, that there's a spectrum response just as much as there's a spectrum of what self-worth looks like.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. So tell us, 'cause I know Jonathan's got a hard stop here. Tell us, like, how do you and your wife, how do you guys help people through this? And again, it's not specifically for AI, but like, obviously this makes you susceptible to all kinds of things. Not just AI, but those terrible marketers, evil marketers, and
romantic partners or business partners,
manipulative family members,
sure,
religious organizations.
Yep.
I mean, the list goes on. Politics,
totally,
all this stuff.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I would say that the two main things we do for our clients are first raise self-awareness dramatically. And really that's freely available at that's freely available at our website, goodwinhypnosis.com. We have a lot of videos, a lot of education there, and we have a YouTube channel with 100 and something educational videos that are on different topics. So, anyone can access that free and sort of upgrade their self-awareness. So right away they're going to be in better shape there. The second really is that we help people, like I said before, unlearn the subconscious issues that limit them or that are plaguing them on some level, whether it's to resolving trauma or overcoming habitual thought patterns or emotional reactivity, or even behavioral patterns, behavioral habits like drinking too much, smoking, and all of that, overeating. But really, what we tend to do is we like to focus on the root cause and not just the symptom. And that allows us to resolve these issues much more quickly than if we just look at, the 10 different symptoms that someone presents as problems in their life. Gina once had a client who had been sex trafficked, and she basically presented a paper for her initial consultation. And she said, I have these 80 or so issues ranging from, eating cookies to being afraid of public speaking and everything in between. And Gina looked at all this and said, well, 95% of this or more, it's really one or two root issues. And she worked with her, as we do with most of our clients, over the course of several weeks, not months, not years. And she came into her last session and said, all of this is better. Because but if we had just worked on each thing individually at the top instead of going to the root, like trimming weeds, it will take forever and it may never go away. So we basically help people use their mind more effectively. And the key is it's doing it subconsciously, because the root issue is a subconscious learning. It's a memory. The subconscious controls, habits, emotions, imagination, memory, and that's where the change work needs to take place. It can't just come from logic or willpower. Otherwise, talk therapy would be remarkably efficient and effective. Yeah. So, we do that. And so really the best defense against being persuaded by people whose intentions you don't know is not, like for AI, it's not just digital literacy, it's emotional literacy. It's understanding what makes you tick. And when you understand and resolve the root causes of whatever your problems are, then you become much harder to manipulate. So the more whole you are, the harder you are to hack, basically.
I like that phrase, emotional literacy. I think that's going to be a superpower moving forward in a world of AI. Like, that's probably a whole show in itself right there, just unpacking what that would look like and what that means. So, Jonathan, do you have any other questions?
No, I just, it's fascinating. I think it's kind of, to me, it's interesting, and it's a little concerning more from a standpoint of AI with the fact that we have technology on us at all times. I mean, Sean and I were talking last episode about like wearable technology where AI is like recording everything. You know, we have apps on our phone that are listening, I'm sure. And, you know, AI is not only, I mean, it's learning from our conversations every day. I'm sure it's picking up on things. I can see a point, you know, I can see a time where it knows us better than most anybody, just for the fact that we keep these devices on us at all times.
Probably already does. Yeah. I mean, based on the social media, I don't know if either of you saw that kind of documentary that was done about social media 5 or 6 years ago, and there's like 400,000 points of data on every person or something like that. It's like, it's just insane. Like they already know, and this is just accelerating all that for sure. Todd, you had a survey you wanted to talk about real quick, or just let people know about.
Well, you know, whenever I talk to people, I like to give something away for free. Okay, here you go. So basically, this is literally a 60-second survey, and it really is just some questions that, depending on how you answer them, will give you a pretty good idea if we might be able to help you. So we see all of our clients by Zoom, you know, throughout, well, the world, time zone permitting, but most of it is North America. And it's just as effective as it was pre-COVID when we did everything in person. And but if you fill out this survey, it will take you 1 minute and mention Persuasion by the Pint when it asks you to, put in your email address, and immediately you'll get a really relaxing self-hypnosis audio called Go With The Flow. So it reduces stress. It explains it all to you. It's just really, really a nice thing to listen to daily for, you know, a week or two. And it should make a real difference with that alone. And then also a video called 17 facts you didn't know about yourself that you need to know about yourself before seeing any hypnotist or therapist. And so that will touch on a lot of these human behavior issues, and that will upgrade your self-awareness right there. And then there's another little freebie in there that you'll have to wait to find out about. But you know, we believe in giving as much as we can, because even if the person never becomes a client, which is totally fine, hopefully they will have had a good experience with a hypnotist, and that will help to kind of break a lot of the misconceptions, which I don't have time to get into them, but the video goes into it, that are mostly nonsense and that keep people away from what is really one of the most effective ways of changing our thoughts and our life.
Love it. Very good. Yeah, so that was goodwinhypnosis.com/survey. Fill that out, take 60 seconds, you'll get some gifts. Mention Persuasion by the Pint when it's asked. And Goodwin Hypnosis, just like it sounds, goodwinhypnosis.com/survey.
Cool.
All right.
That's fascinating. Do you and your wife, are y'all both a part of the same
practice?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, you can.
Do you guys ever get in like hypnosis fights where you try to hypnotize each other?
No, dude, you've been watching too much Harry Potter. That's not hypnosis. That's like sorcerer shit. It doesn't work that way, but we do. We have hypnotized each other when one of us has an issue we need help with, and why not? We have the skills, we have the trust.
Yeah.
So
you don't just start talking slow at dinner and start to put your wife into a trance, and you don't do that?
I mean, sometimes I get talking about stuff and she sort of dozes off if it's late at night, and
Yeah.
and then I'm like, is
That's a
that
whole different conversation.
totally different? That's just it's just like, all right, clearly she's not interested or she's tired and I'm really whatever. But that's not hypnosis. That's that's sleep.
That's boredom.
Totally different. Yeah, exactly.
Jonathan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to mention too, a lot of people don't realize the power of hypnosis for people that have been smoking a long time, tobacco users. I mean, you've written a book. What is it called? Breaking the Chain?
Break the chains of smoking. Yeah. How to escape the mental and emotional prison that keeps you addicted.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm sure that's a big part of your business, is like dealing with people that have addictions, specific addictions that they just can't get over. I mean,
not as much as you would think. I mean, I think overall the bread and butter of most hypnotists, at least it used to be, weight loss and smoking.
Yeah.
When I started my practice in '07, it was mostly those two. But really, no. I mean, a very small percentage is that, because we're really seeing a lot more, anxiety, childhood issues, trauma, self-worth issues. But they don't always fit neatly into one category.
Yeah.
So, but
that's why you do an intake form and you talk to people to really.
Right.
Yeah. So the process is simple. I would recommend look around the website, watch every video that interests you, read about stuff, look at our, all the 100+ 5-star reviews we have online. Look at our YouTube channel. Some people are not into doing that much research. They just go right to it. We have testimonial videos from clients that will help you understand from their point of view what their journey was like. But ultimately, they can fill out a new client application, and which takes 10 to 15 minutes depending on how much they write, and then they can watch a much longer educational video than the one that you're going to get by email. And then we set up a Zoom consultation, and that's usually about an hour, and that's where we really get a clear sense of what's going on, and if we can help them, then we outline kind of the roadmap.
Sure.
But most of the work we do is brief, effective, and what's really cool, especially for people who have been through a lot of therapy, it's actually kind of fun. And including trauma work is, for a lot of people, they tend to laugh a lot.
Yeah.
And humor's a good healer, and it's a good educator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why comedians are so loved and hated, because the truth comes through in good comedy. That's for sure.
Yep.
So.
And I would say I definitely am an unpaid comedian, although I wouldn't call it good comedy. But you'd have to ask my clients and my wife.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well,
good stuff. Todd, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for the questions. It was great I'm glad I was able to share some of what I know and what I think would be helpful. So.
And if you've got a minute, can you hang out in the green room? I want to talk to you a little bit after the show. And
yeah, you got
Jonathan's got to run, but
yeah,
cool.
I can talk real quick.
Once we have this posted, Todd, we'll be sending you a link and your way, and I'll definitely be following up with you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Hey, how you feeling with Sean? How you feeling with that 12% ABV?
It's good. Yeah, I can feel it starting to kick in, but
I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't already finish that.
My own. I'm not a small guy. I'm a small guy. I've got military training. I can handle.
Yeah, he's been doing this a few years.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, great guys. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yep.
Right.
Hang tight here in the green room, and we'll be right back. That was good. Very interesting.
Yeah, I definitely think we could do a follow-up show on some other issues and things like that. So we'll do some of that.
We'll keep him in the Rolodex.
Yeah.
Keep him in the Rolodex. I'll put him in my little flip Rolodex. You still have one of those, right?
Yeah,
the
gold
paper.
Yeah, of course. We'll turn the knob on the right side and.
Yeah, I got one right here on the desk.
Yeah. That's what everybody uses, isn't it? So,
that's right. I feel like that's what everybody would like to go back to, with the way things are moving. But it's an interesting topic, interesting times, and we'll probably continue to talk about AI and where it's moving. It ain't going anywhere, so might as well talk about it, right? It's kind of talk therapy on this show. Well, Well, to all of our listeners, you can find us over at persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms, wherever you find your favorite shows. And Sean, we'll see you next week. Hope you all have a great week. We'll be back on next week, 4th of July week, which is coming up the week after. So we'll do something fun.
Yeah. All right.
We'll see you.